Hello everyone, today I'm going to introduce you to the romantic urban love story, City Love, starring the very famous Korean actors Jae Chang-wook, Kim Jae-won, and Kim Min-seok. This movie tells the story of a romantic love between an architect and a free-spirited girl who meet on a trip. They lose contact after that, but will they find each other again? How will their love story continue? I invite you to watch and find out. The movie starts with a research team trying to understand the nature of love between men and women in a busy urban environment. They randomly interview a few people, both men and women. All interviews are natural and unscripted. None of the interviewees know each other. They also come from different professions. Here they start to talk about their past memories. Now, let's go back in time to a few years ago. At the airport, a young man steps out of the waiting area to get a ride. Not far away, a girl drives a car to pick up her friend's guest. She's never met him before, but she knows from her friend's description that he is a handsome guy, about 6'0" inches tall, named Park Hee-won. While driving, she keeps looking around trying to find him. There he is, a true heartthrob, standing there with his tall stature and handsome face. She freezes for a few minutes, mesmerized by his beauty. She reverses the car and rolls down the window. "Hey, are you Park Hee-won from Seoul?" "Yes, I am." "Well, get in the car." The girl driving the car is Lee Yoon-oh, a lively and innocent girl. As she drives, she bounces to the rhythm of the music, making Hee-won both surprised and delighted. When her favorite song comes on, not only does Yoon-oh sing along, but she also asks Hee-won to sing with her. Seeing her carefree and cheerful spirit, Hee-won feels happy too. After the song, Yoon-oh expresses her surprise, asking why Hee-won, who doesn't have a driver's license for camping, dared to rent a car. She had to drive the car all the way to the beach and park it there waiting for him. Hee-won tells Yoon-oh that since he turned 20, he's had two wishes: to live in a camper van for a month, and to surf for a month. Those are his passions. He only rented the car to sleep in. With her enthusiastic personality, Yoon-oh says it would be such a waste for him to only sleep in the car. "It's so beautiful here on rainy days," she explains. "If you park the car by the beach and watch the rain while drinking coffee, it would be amazing." "Of course, but I don't have a driver's license." "It's no problem, I'll help you." Without waiting to see Hee-won's reaction, Yoon-oh turns the car around and heads straight to the driving test center. She even enthusiastically helps Hee-won with everything, from taking photos to filling out applications, encouraging him by saying, "It only took me 1 day to get my license." Back at the beach, Yoon-oh runs around playfully, laughing with her dog, seemingly ignoring Hee-won's instructions from the tour guide. His mind is already filled with her smile. That night, there's a barbecue party on the beach. Everyone is having fun and playing games. With her typical enthusiasm, Yoon-oh is both serving and instructing everyone to participate. The group is still enjoying themselves when suddenly the lights go out for a second. Then a bell rings, announcing the start of the most exciting game of the night, a matchmaking game. Everyone else has already found their partners. Hee-won sees Yoon-oh alone, still carefree, and immediately grabs her hand, pulling her towards him. Their eyes meet, and their hearts flutter. They stare deeply into each other's eyes, as if seeing each other's deepest thoughts. They truly look perfect together. They stand side by side, holding hands, watching fireworks burst into the night sky, as if celebrating the budding love in their hearts. They hold each other's hands tightly, gazing up at the night sky, silently wishing for something. The next morning, the first thing Hee-won did was to check the weather on his phone. Today, the weather looks beautiful, perfect for surfing and enjoying the beach. With that thought, Hee-won opened his window to gaze at the ocean. "Wait a minute, what's going on here? I remember parking the car right by the beach last night before I went to sleep. Why am I here? Am I dreaming?" While he was still confused, Yoon-oh appeared with a mischievous grin. She told him to come out, it was time to practice driving. They got in the car and Yoon-oh started to teach Hee-won basic driving maneuvers, fastening the seatbelt, turning on the ignition, and following the route she had drawn while Hee-won was still sleeping. But how could he drive like that? Why is the route she drew so small? Why don't you make it bigger? Wouldn't it be easier to drive? After practicing, they returned to the beach. The ocean was beautiful, blue and breezy. From afar, Yoon-oh watched Hee-won surfing like a true artist on the water. Then they walked their dog together and chatted over beers. Yuno seemed to be starting to enjoy surfing, even though she was always afraid of water. Yi-won was surprised and delighted to see Yuno practicing surfing moves on the sand. "What are you doing? I erased the fear already. You have to teach me how to surf." And so, they started practicing basic moves in the water. Yi-won kept pulling Yuno further and further away from the shore. Suddenly, a small wave crashed over Yuno's face. "Are you okay? You're scared, right?" "Just a little. Don't worry, I'm here. No matter how many times you fall, I'll be there to catch you. Focus on the waves." "All right, I'm doing well." Slowly, Yuno started to get used to the water and stopped being afraid. She began to enjoy the waves and dared to stand on the board herself to practice surfing. As Yuno stood up and rode the wave for a short distance, she collided with a man nearby. She fell into the water and hit her head on a rock, leaving a small cut on her forehead. Yi-won was worried. He rushed to Yuno's side to check on her and care for her wound with a worried attitude. Yuno excitedly described the joy she felt during her first time surfing to Yi-won. Yi-won used a towel to dry Yuno's hair. They leaned in close, their faces and lips almost touching. They shared a kiss in the windswept house by the ocean with the crashing waves in the background. They only pulled away when a gust of wind knocked over some surfboards in the house. Yuno laughed loudly to hide Yi-won's embarrassment. And then, they continued to spend the rest of their time together. They couldn't bear to be separated for even a minute. Yi-won's declaration of "I love you" was met with a happy smile from Yuno. They had a truly blissful night together. The next morning, when Yi-won woke up and couldn't find Yuno, he opened the door and stepped outside. He saw Yuno, with her usual carefree spirit, walking her dog on the beach. He was about to call her when he saw a man walk up to Yuno, petting the dog and tucking a strand of hair behind her ear to check on the cut on her forehead. They were making plans to meet later. Yi-won's eyes widened. He wondered if last night was a dream, or if he had been tricked. Yi-won turned back to his chair, and Yuno returned with her dog, acting as if nothing had happened. Yi-won felt a little awkward and embarrassed in response to her cheerful and natural attitude. They strolled along the beach, and Yuno was the first to speak. "Did you sleep well last night? When I woke up, I saw you sleeping soundly like a child. I watched you sleep for quite a while. You were so adorable." They walked in silence for a while before Yi-won asked, "What were you talking about with Jong-gu earlier?" "Oh, I'm going to watch a movie with Jong-gu tonight." That evening, Yi-won worked, occasionally glancing at his watch. Time seemed to crawl. He couldn't focus on anything. Eventually, Yi-won saw Yuno come back, holding a small guitar. She started to practice playing, completely oblivious to Yi-won entering the room. "What's going on? She's acting like I'm invisible. She's ignoring me. I need to let her know who I am." Yi-won grabbed the guitar from the corner and started to strum the first few chords. On the other side of the room, Yuno looked up after concentrating. "Where is that beautiful music coming from? Who's playing so well? Oh, it's Yi-won." The next morning on the beach, Yi-won watched from afar as Yuno played volleyball with everyone else. A slight sadness filled his heart. She still had that carefree and cheerful attitude, but it didn't feel like it belonged to him anymore. With that thought, Yi-won picked up his surfboard and left. But it wasn't over yet. While eating, Yi-won overheard a group of women next to him asking Yuno about her rollerblading with Jong-gu the previous night. She didn't hide anything and candidly told them she didn't know how to rollerblade and fell down, then cheerfully added that she fell down. Seeing Yuno limping due to the pain, Yi-won got in his car and looked for a pain relief spray to give her. But then he thought to himself, "What am I doing? Why should I care about her? Let her be." Frustrated, Yi-won turned to leave the restaurant, but his two friends called him back. One of them showed Yi-won a picture on his phone of Yuno looking beautiful in her surfing gear. With a cheerful smile, he boasted about how he had just gone surfing with her. Yi-won was annoyed. He sat on the beach and mumbled to himself, "Who taught her how to surf? It was me, right? So who should teach her how to turn? Of course it was me." Still fuming inside, Yi-won didn't even look at Yuno when she complained about being tired and casually laid down next to him. Finally, unable to contain his annoyance, Yi-won snapped, "Hey, Siane. I heard you can do a 360-degree turn on a surfboard. I was planning on teaching you, but I was worried you might get hurt because it's dangerous. I wanted to wait for a good wave to teach you. I didn't know you already learned. Who taught you? I'm sorry. I'll come to the camper van to find you. Siane, what's going on? Are you playing games with me? Okay, I won't come anymore. With that, Yuno laid down and closed her eyes as if she was asleep. Angry, Yi-won grabbed the hat he was wearing and threw it on Yuno's face before going back into the car to grab a bottle of water to cool down. Just as he finished taking a sip, he saw Jong-gu riding his bicycle past. Jong-gu took the initiative to start a conversation with Yi-won. Yi-won started to tease him. I heard you're a big movie buff. I think I heard you were going to watch a movie with Siane. Is that right? Yes, we made plans to go together, but I couldn't go that night because Siana said she was going to watch a movie with you. Oh my god, why didn't you tell me earlier? It's been making me angry for days. Yi-won was overjoyed. He ran straight to the restaurant to find Yuno. Yuno was preparing ingredients to make noodles for the customers when she saw a piece of paper with writing on it through the window. My words from the camper van earlier are still valid, right? She finished reading the note when another one appeared. It's supposed to rain tomorrow. Will you come watch the rain with me? She stepped out of the restaurant to find the person who wrote the note. She saw a note attached to a boy. If you don't come before 6 p.m., it means you hate me. After reading it, she felt troubled. How could I go? I'm not off work until 10 p.m. Yi-won, on the other hand, had no idea. He sat in his car, eagerly waiting for Yuno to arrive. Time kept passing, but she wasn't there. Meanwhile, Yuno was working, but her heart was filled with anxiety. After the last customer left, she suddenly remembered why she came here, why she changed from Yuno to Siane. With a surge of motivation, she went to the owner of the restaurant and said, "Can I leave early today? I have to go meet Park Yi-won. I'm leaving now. If you want to fire me, go ahead." She ran all the way to the place where she was supposed to meet Yi-won. Yi-won had been waiting in his car, but he was disappointed and dejected when he didn't see Yuno. It was way past their agreed upon time. Why isn't she here? I can't wait any longer. Just as Yuno arrived, Yi-won had already driven off. She quickly searched for him and saw his car driving away in the distance. She found a shortcut and ran to catch up with him. Yi-won was driving when he saw Yuno standing in front of his car, panting. He rushed out and hugged her tightly, overwhelmed with emotion. They embraced in the middle of the road, like two people who hadn't seen each other in a long time. The next morning, inside the car, Yi-won and Yuno lay beside each other, occasionally glancing up at the window, waiting for the rain. The rain just wouldn't come, but it didn't matter, because they were together. Hey, I can't concentrate on reading. Right, you're more interesting than books. I don't need to look for meaning in anything anymore. I like this. Why do you like it? It's simple, I just like it. From your style to your personality, from head to toe, I like everything about you. As if to match the scene outside, the rain finally started to fall. They happily watched the rain through the window. Unable to resist the wildness of nature, Yuno opened the door and ran outside, letting the rain fall from the sky onto her, soaking her hair and her entire body. She danced with delight alongside Yi-won in the rain. They were like mischievous children playing and bathing in the downpour. After the rain stopped, they sat down to have coffee and chatted happily. Suddenly, Yi-won said, "If I stayed here for another month, would you marry me?" Are you serious? You're really serious, right? I'm serious. Since we're having so much fun, let's get married. They burst into laughter. Asterisk asterisk. On the roof of the car, after carefully preparing everything, they stood next to each other. Yuno held a bouquet of wildflowers in her hand, and Yi-won wore a similar flower on his chest. They stood solemnly beside each other in front of the camera and announced, "The wedding ceremony of Park Yi-won and Yuan Xian is now beginning. Bride Yuan Xian, do you vow to love Park Yi-won forever? Groom Park Yi-won, do you vow to love Yuan Xian forever? Both of you will vow to stay together forever." Then, they exchanged rings. After that, they spent their days together, sharing their lives. Yi-won occasionally helped Yuno clean up, and vice versa. Yuno boldly showed off their wedding ring to their friends, as a declaration that Yi-won belonged to her now. They held hands as they walked to their car and shouted, "We're married, we're living together now." It was a truly happy time for them. But all good things must eventually come to an end. Yi-won had urgent business in Seoul and had to fly back immediately. Before they parted ways, Yoon-oh wrote Yi-won's phone number on a small piece of paper and kept it carefully in her pocket. Just in case they couldn't reach each other, they made a plan to meet at the 3rd Stone Bridge in Chingcheon at 10 p.m. on the last Saturday of the month. They said goodbye to each other. It seemed like a normal goodbye, like any other goodbye, but it turned out to be a goodbye forever. Back to the present, Yi-won continued to work in Seoul. Yoon-oh moved to Seoul to start a new life. She was determined to be stronger. Yoon-oh started her own company and was the only member. She went to meet acquaintances to promote her business. When she was driving alone on the way home, she would often remember the old memories with Yi-won. But then she would tell herself to try to forget him. Yi-won also frequently thought about his memories with Yoon-oh. He knew that Yoon-oh was in Seoul and hoped that one beautiful day, he would bump into her on the street. One day, while driving through an intersection and waiting for the red light, Yoon-oh was about to get out of her car to fix the broken windshield wiper when the car next to her pulled up. She glanced over and quickly lowered her head and turned in the other direction. "Oh my god, Seoul is so small, isn't that Yi-won?" Fortunately, the light turned green. She quickly changed directions to avoid Yi-won. They drove in opposite directions, like strangers. The old memories for Yoon-oh now only remained in the form of old cameras and photos capturing their moments together. They used to travel all over to take pictures. Yi-won made a video to talk about giving Yoon-oh those cameras and asked her to reply to him if she saw the video. "Seon-ae, did you sell my cameras? If you sold them, what are you going to do with the money? Did you eat anything delicious, drink alcohol, or go shopping? Why did you do that to me? Such a beautiful girl, but so cruel." For Yoon-oh, those things were in the past, and she was determined not to look back. The present was what mattered, running her marketing company. Every day, when she opened the refrigerator to get food, she would still see the film rolls inside. Yi-won once taught her how to preserve them. Yoon-oh took the film rolls to a photo shop to have them developed, a few prints of each photo. While she waited, the owner of the shop went out to answer a phone call. The caller was a regular customer, Yi-won. He asked the owner to develop his photos. After the call, the owner went back to give Yoon-oh her photos and realized that the person in the photos with her was Yi-won. He could tell even though Yoon-oh tried to deny it. When she went home, she spread out the photos on the floor, looking at them. Then she took out each camera and looked at the photos again. Every photo, every snapshot, every detail reminded her of Yi-won. She remembered his actions, his words, his movements. She even remembered the couple's game that Yi-won played while she slept to surprise her. She looked at them over and over, and tears kept falling from her eyes. Back to Yi-won. After they parted ways at the airport, he didn't hear from Yoon-oh or see her at their meeting place. He thought she might have lost his number. On the day they were supposed to meet, Yi-won went to the meeting place. Not only did he not see Yoon-oh, but he also received a voicemail from her. "Yi-won, I've had a lot of fun over the past while, but let's not meet again. I'm going to keep your cameras." "Oh, no, I stole them. I wanted to steal them from the beginning. Sorry." After leaving that message for Yi-won, Yoon-oh left silently. Yi-won listened to the message over and over again, but couldn't understand it. He couldn't understand why Yoon-oh was acting like this. At the Marketing 03 office, Yoon-oh was chasing after Kang-jin for answering a client call vaguely. They had been close friends since school, and Kang-jin knew Yoon-oh was usually very kind. But she had completely changed after returning 3 months ago. Yi-won received a call from the owner of the photo shop, who showed him their old wedding photo. Driving back from the photo shop, Yi-won listened to Yoon-oh's voicemail again. He realized she was still keeping his cameras. He just couldn't understand why she left those voicemails. While he was pondering this, his younger brother, Kyung-jun, called him to play cards. They all didn't know that Seon-ae was actually Yoon-oh. Yi-won was still trying to find Kang-jin's house when he almost hit a girl with his car. Wow, how come she looks so much like Seon-ae? Yoon-oh, upon hearing Kang-jin say Yi-won was coming, wanted to avoid him, so she ran outside and accidentally bumped into Yi-won's car. Surprised to see someone who looked like his love, Yi-won opened his car door and got out, but Yoon-oh ran away. He chased after her, but couldn't find her. Yoon-oh finally realized that Yi-won was Kyung-jun's older brother. So, she couldn't show Kyung-jun the cameras because they were filled with pictures of her. Yi-won, unable to find Yuno, went back to the bar to get drunk and try to forget her. But even if he could forget his ex, he still had to find a way to get his cameras back. Yi-won kept muttering to himself and continued to drink until he passed out at the table. When he woke up, still feeling tipsy, he went to the police station to report his cameras stolen and asked them to investigate. He told them that the perpetrator was Seon-a. Yi-won then told the police how he met Yoon-oh and where. The young police officer patiently listened to Yi-won's story. After Yi-won finished, the officer patted him on the shoulder and said, There. Yi-won suddenly looked up at the police officer and asked, "How do you know my name?" The police officer replied naturally, "You're Park Yi-won, the architect, right?" "How did you know that?" The officer pulled out a small notebook from his pocket. It contained many details. He showed Yi-won. "Look here, everyone knows Park Yi-won gets drunk a lot. You're a regular customer here. You've come here 5 times in the past year. Today is the 6th time. The reason you don't remember is because you're always so drunk when you come here." The young police officer then showed Yi-won each day in the notebook how he came here to report about the same thing, that this woman, Yuan Seon-a, stole his cameras. The police advised him not to come again, unless there was more information. The next morning, on the rooftop of the building, Kang-jin, Yoon-oh, and Soo-rin-I were sitting together, talking about Kang-jin's girlfriend. That day, Kang-jin's girlfriend came to find him at a coffee shop. She asked him, "Do you like me or Lee Yoon-oh? Do you like me or Soo-rin-I?" Looking at her, Kang-jin replied as if asking a question. "Do you mean you want me to choose between friendship and love? No, I don't believe men and women can just be friends. Between you, Yoon-oh, and Soo-rin-I, who would you choose? Do you like me romantically, and like them as friends?" Hearing Jin's answer, the woman immediately took the red backpack on the table and said, "I gave you this bag. Go tell those girls to buy you a different one." She grabbed the bag and went outside. From the window, Yoon-oh and Soo-rin-I watched, shaking their heads in exasperation. Then, they both saw the woman walking toward them. They thought a storm was coming, but it wasn't. The woman gently removed a piece of paper stuck to Yoon-oh's hair and said, "As women, we shouldn't fight over stupid men." Then, she shoved the backpack into Soo-rin-I's hand and said, "Here, take it for your boyfriend." Then, she left. After telling the story, they all burst into laughter. Just then, Kyung-jun arrived with food. The 4 of them went inside to dance and cook. Suddenly, Kyung-jun received a call from the police. They called Kyung-jun to bail Yi-won out of the police station because he was being detained for being drunk and causing a disturbance. After leaving the police station, they went to a restaurant. Kyung-jun asked if the girl named Seon had really taken Yi-won's cameras. But this time, Yi-won avoided the question. It seemed like Yi-won didn't want to mention anything related to Yoon-oh. Back in the office, Kyung-jun quickly opened the drawer and confiscated a few bottles of alcohol that Yi-won had hidden there. He went out, leaving Yi-won alone in the room, feeling sad. He saw the surfboard he had made with Yoon-oh long ago, which he had kept carefully. Yi-won took it out and decided to throw it away, as if he was determined to throw away his memories. He took it to the neighborhood welfare center, but it was too big, so he had to buy a sticker. Yoon-oh did the same. She also took her surfboard to the center to throw it away. After a moment of hesitation, as if she didn't want to let go, she decided to throw it away as a way to release the pressure in her heart. On her way home, a sudden downpour began. Standing under the awning for shelter, Yoon-oh remembered the days she spent with Yi-won on the beach, the times they played together in the rain. Watching the raindrops fall, she told herself, "This rain will stop eventually. Everything will be okay." Yi-won, carrying his surfboard, was taking shelter under the awning of a house. Seeing the rain, he couldn't help but reminisce about the old days. It seemed like he couldn't bear to part with his past, so Yi-won decided to take the surfboard back to his office. He sat in his room and couldn't help but think about the girl who looked like Seon-a that he almost hit last night. He suddenly remembered and happily ran to his car to check the car camera footage. It definitely had to be there. Why hadn't he thought of that sooner? But as if fate was playing a cruel trick on him, when Yi-won got there, all that remained was a parking ticket. The police had towed his car. Kyung-jun didn't believe him and said that Yi-won was hallucinating because he drank too much. The 2 brothers took a taxi to the police station to find the car. Yi-won rushed into the car to search for the memory card. Oh no, the memory card is gone. I took it out, Kyung-jun said. What do you mean? The other day, someone said our car hit their house, so I took it out to submit it as evidence. In the car, Kyung-jun started to scold Yi-won. He said that Yi-won not only was addicted to alcohol and liked to cause trouble, but he was now hallucinating and seeing everyone as Seon-ae. Back home, Yi-won vented his frustration with Yoon-oh to his video camera as if she were standing in front of him. Why do I even want to find her? But who wouldn't want to find someone after a breakup like that? She suddenly disappeared at the happiest moment. No fights, I didn't do anything wrong. Why? Why? If I get my cameras back now, I'll cut off all ties. I hope she sees this video. Seon-ae, I'm going crazy because of you. Meanwhile, Kang-jin's girlfriend, true to the stereotype, was demanding her things back after the breakup. She threw all the things he had given her before into a recycling bin. She thought that doing this would help her quickly forget him, but she was wrong. As soon as she threw them out, an image appeared on social media of Kang-jin happily with a couple of girlfriends introducing a delicious cake they had made. Was she going to be angry or not? Surin, I seem to have a boyfriend for a long time. That only left Lee Yoon-oh. She always made him feel uneasy. Fine, I'll watch them. I'll see when they officially announce their relationship. Back at Yoon-oh's house, everyone was happily enjoying the cake they had just made. Kyung-jun told them about Yi-won, how he liked to get drunk, how he was a regular customer at the police station, and how he was now suffering from hallucinations. Yoon-oh kept her head down as if she wasn't paying attention, but she was listening intently to every word they said. They were still talking when there was a knock at the door. 2 police officers arrived and asked them if anything had been stolen from their house. Everyone went inside, but Yoon-oh was nowhere to be found. She had locked herself in her room and thought the police had brought Yi-won over. Back to Yi-won, his brother's advice seemed to have shaken his confidence. He went to see a psychiatrist to make an appointment. He ran into a friend who was a doctor. His friend dragged him to his office. He couldn't tell his friend the truth about why he came. He said he was asking about symptoms for his brother Kyung-jun. Then, the friends chatted for a while, and his friend invited Yi-won to have a drink. Yi-won asked if drinking too much alcohol could lead to hallucinations. His friend confirmed it and advised him to quit drinking. Hearing his friend's advice, Yi-won suddenly remembered how, one time when he went to meet Yoon-oh and couldn't find her, he went to a bar and drank himself silly. Suddenly, he saw outside in the snow what seemed like Yoon-oh's shadow. Thinking it was just a hallucination from drinking too much, Yi-won continued to drink and passed out at the table. But it wasn't a hallucination. It was Yoon-oh in the flesh. That day, because she was thinking about Yi-won too, Yoon-oh went there. She saw Yi-won from afar and silently followed him to the bar, standing outside and watching him. She didn't go inside until Yi-won passed out at the table. Then, she went inside, sat down next to Yi-won, looked at him, and cried. She reached out and gently touched the ring Yi-won was wearing. Just then, Yi-won woke up. He couldn't believe his eyes when he saw Yoon-oh sitting in front of him. He tried to convince himself that it was just a hallucination because he missed her so much. In a semi-conscious state, Yi-won told Yoon-oh that he had been to this place 20 times just to wait for her. He said that he had gone to the police to report that she had stolen his cameras. He said he couldn't forget her because they had been married, and he had never taken the ring off his finger. Yi-won kept asking questions in his drunken stupor. Yoon-oh sat there looking at him, tears streaming down her face. She never knew he loved her so much. Then, Yi-won grabbed her hand, pulled her close, and said, "Don't leave, don't leave. Please don't go." Then he collapsed on her shoulder and fell into a deep sleep. At home, Yoon-oh packed up the cameras and was about to mail them back to Yi-won. But then, she was afraid that Kyung-jun might recognize them. "I can't do it this way. I need to come up with a different plan." She took the bag and headed out, planning to go to the police station to ask them to return the cameras. But, standing in front of the station, she hesitated and didn't go in. Back to Yi-won. After taking his doctor friend home, he went back to their old meeting spot. He decided he would never come back here again. He pulled the ring off his finger, looked at it one last time, and threw it away. Just as he was about to throw it into the water, he saw Yoon-oh in the distance. At that moment, Yoon-oh also saw Yi-won. She turned her head to avoid him, but it was too late, so she ran. Yi-won ran after her, shouting for someone to catch her. Two police officers nearby heard the call for help and rushed to chase after her. Yoon-oh ran into a pedestrian and fell to the ground. The two police officers immediately appeared. After asking her what happened, they arrested her for theft, much to Yoon-oh's and Yi-won's surprise. Seeing the police handcuff Yoon-oh, Yi-won voluntarily put the other handcuff on his own wrist. At the police station, Yoon-oh and Yi-won held hands. Across from them, the police were checking the value of each camera. They ignored Yi-won's explanation that his intention for reporting the theft was just to find Yoon-oh. They immediately drafted an arrest warrant for Yoon-oh. The situation was becoming serious. Once the warrant was drafted, they would transfer Yoon-oh to the Criminal Investigation Unit. If she was transferred there, she would definitely be tried in court and might even go to prison. Yi-won tried to explain that he never told the police that Yoon-oh had stolen his cameras. But he hurt himself this time when the police officer informed him that he had come to the station to report the theft 6 times. All the evidence was against Yoon-oh. The police were about to take Yoon-oh's ID card when she finally spoke. This was her first word since she arrived. "Why are you calling me a thief and talking about theft? He, Yi-won, gave them to me. He gave them to me, so I accepted them. Why keep calling me a thief?" At this point, the story took a different turn. Even though at first, Yi-won insisted that he had not given Yoon-oh the cameras, when the police asked him, he admitted that he had given them to her. So, Yoon-oh's handcuffs were removed. But the trouble wasn't over yet. The police officers still demanded that Yoon-oh provide her ID card. If she did, her identity would be revealed to Yi-won. But just as she was about to give it to the officer, Yi-won, sitting next to her, snatched it and looked at it. He was stunned when he saw her name was Yoon-oh, not Seon-ae. Angry, thinking that Yoon-oh had been deceiving him all this time, Yi-won left. After she was done, Yoon-oh ran out to find Yi-won, but he had already gotten in his car and ignored her calls. She wanted to explain everything to him, but Yi-won didn't want to listen anymore. As she kept chasing after Yi-won's car, she was hit by a motorcycle and fell to the ground. Yi-won got out of the car to help Yoon-oh, but seeing that she was okay, he tried to get back in the car and leave. "Wait, hold on, I'll return them to you." "Take them." "Why do you have to return them to me? I said I gave them to you. I didn't want to steal them. I just thought it would be better for you if you thought I was a thief. That's why I said that. I'm sorry for lying to you. Yi-won, do you know how much it hurt me? I didn't even know your real name. Everything you told me was a lie. You are a terrible person. How could I possibly accept them back? Just seeing them makes me remember the days we spent together. I remember the Yuan Seon-ae I used to love. How could I bring them home? We shouldn't see each other anymore. And now I'm going to throw the ring away." With that, Yi-won threw the ring in his hand into the stream beside the road and angrily got back in his car and drove away. Back home, Yi-won opened the fridge to find beer to drown his sorrows. But there weren't any left. He opened the liquor cabinet, but there wasn't anything there either. It turned out his brother, Kyung-jun, had hidden it all a long time ago. Yi-won sat alone in his room, his heart empty. He tried to forget, but he couldn't forget Yoon-oh's image from their romantic days on the beach and in the camper van. In a different development, the two police officers were talking about Yi-won and Yoon-oh after their shift. Suddenly, they saw someone looking for something in the stream. It turned out to be Yoon-oh. She was shining a light and searching for something important. Then, she found it and grasped it tightly in her hand, shouting with joy. It was the ring that Yi-won had thrown away earlier. You could see the immense joy in her face when she found it. The next morning, Yoon-oh went back to the police station to claim her surfboard. Because she had bothered them so many times, the police officer refused to help her and called for the next appointment. Yoon-oh didn't give up easily. She waited for the officer in the bathroom, determined to get her surfboard back. She had thrown it away, and he had picked it up, so he was adamant about not returning it. She argued and pleaded, but she couldn't persuade the officer. She even told him about how she had tried to find the engagement ring that Yi-won had thrown away, and that made her want to get her surfboard back. Yi-won was something she had etched deep in her mind, and that surfboard was a gift from him to commemorate their love. After tears, pleas, and more tears, Yoon-oh finally succeeded in taking the surfboard back. On the other side, Yi-won was still down after the fight with Yoon-oh. He was also shocked to discover that the person in the dating app was Yoon-oh. He remembered that night, when he left the police station, Yoon-oh almost got hit by a car. If she had hugged him, he would have hugged her back, just like they used to. But she didn't, which made him quite disappointed. The truth is, his feelings for Yoon-oh were still very strong, and now Yi-won was stuck in the past. The past where he and Yoon-oh were happy together for months. He still thought it was all a dream. Meanwhile, Yoon-oh put her surfboard away in her storage room. The next question from the dating app program surprised Yoon-oh. The news program announced that Yi-won had caught the thief who stole his cameras. Everyone participating in the program was shocked. Kyung-jun went to Yi-won's house to ask about it, but Yi-won didn't want to talk. Yi-won told him that the person he met on the dating app was a fake, using a false identity. He had taken the person to the police station, but the person just lied. Meanwhile, Kang-jin, the writer, kept ranting about this person, not realizing he was talking about his friend, Yoon-oh. He even wanted to put this fraudulent person behind bars, which made Yoon-oh furious. She wanted to punch him. Then the two kept arguing like cats and dogs, which made Ren-ai, who was there, unable to take it anymore and had to intervene. Back at Yi-won's house, Kyung-jun brought him food because he was sick. After washing dishes, the program asked Yi-won to send a message through video. Despite Kyung-jun's attempts to stop him, Yi-won didn't hesitate to send a few words to the other person. Even though he didn't forgive her for lying, he apologized for calling her a terrible person and for throwing away the camera bag. That night, Yoon-oh received the message and felt very sad. She turned on music and danced to cheer herself up. Kang-jin, feeling overwhelmed, went to Yoon-oh to complain. Feeling helpless and unable to do anything, he left to go cook. A week passed, and Yi-won had time to contemplate Yoon-oh's lies. He remembered how they had been in love when she was still going by the name Sun-ae. He had accepted the end of their relationship on the beach and started a new life. Meanwhile, the three friends met up. Kang-jin talked about Yoon-oh's strange behavior in recent days. She had burst into tears watching a comedy film, which Kang-jin found very confusing. Then, Yoon-oh stood in front of the mirror, constantly berating herself. Kang-jin thought his friend was bored and had gone crazy for love. He also showed everyone the car advertisement proposal that Yoon-oh had prepared but hadn't executed yet. So, Kyung-jun took the proposal to Yi-won, wanting him to look at it because it involved their company. Later, Yi-won's company received a big client from Seoul in the airline industry. The client couple wanted to redesign their parents' house, which they had inherited, because they were moving to the city to live. When the husband came to meet Yi-won, he was surprised to recognize Kyung-jun and Ren-ai. They had a misunderstanding in the past, so he was quite embarrassed. Ren-ai didn't hesitate to slap the husband. It turned out that he was Yoon-oh's ex-boyfriend who had cheated her out of a lot of money. Now he was married and had a 9-month-old child. Ren-ai began to expose the husband's misdeeds. Yi-won tried to stop her, but it was too late. They got into a fight, and the husband received a punch from Kyung-jun. Ren-ai was shocked and grabbed a bottle of Coke, spraying it all over the room, soaking everyone like wet rats. Yi-won, at this point, was speechless and helpless before his two protectors. In the end, they lost their client. Yi-won had to clean up the mess caused by his two protectors. Later, Yi-won found a business proposal card. He recognized the name Yoon-oh on it. Could it be that Sun-ae, the person he met on the dating app, was actually her? He then looked up some documents and learned Yoon-oh's address. He couldn't believe such a coincidence. So, Yi-won called Yoon-oh's number to confirm. Hearing the voice on the other end, Yi-won was stunned. It really was Sun-ae, and he was speechless. The next morning, Yi-won woke up with a pounding head, unable to escape thoughts of Sun-ae. He tossed and turned in bed, wondering how fate could play such a cruel trick on him and make him entangled with Sun-ae again, now as Yoon-oh in the present. Unable to accept the truth, Yi-won, in a fit of anger, slammed his door shut and sent the entire film crew home. At the park, Yoon-oh and Ren-ai were still diligently doing their morning exercise routine, also trying to forget their heartbreak. Kang-jin was reading a book while exercising with them. Afterward, the three of them went home and ate breakfast together. As they were talking, they received a call from the marketing company accepting Yoon-oh's proposal and wanting her to present the project today. She immediately accepted and was overjoyed, believing in a bright future for 03 Company. Meanwhile, Yi-won arrived at his company and was informed by his secretary about the potential benefits of 03 Company's proposal. They were considering awarding the contract to 03 Company for the upcoming project. Yi-won then talked to his younger brother Kyung-jun about the marketing proposal from 03 Company, asking him to explain more about the project leader, Yoon-oh, and why she had hit the client before. It turned out that the client's name was Yoon-oh's ex-boyfriend who had cheated on her and married another woman from the same company. This was the reason why Yoon-oh had disappeared for 3 months without a trace. The ex-boyfriend had lied, saying that Yoon-oh had initiated the breakup when they were in Busan. That year, Kyung-jun and Rin-I had also gone to the hotel in Busan where Yoon-oh worked, but they only learned that she had quit. They didn't know where she had gone, so they were very worried. Cheated on by her boyfriend and losing her job, with nowhere to go, that was the reason for Yoon-oh's disappearance. After she came back, she had changed her personality. On the other side, Yoon-oh had a presentation with the instant noodle company. She presented her unique marketing strategies, including building brand image and promoting food culture. The executives were very impressed with her ideas. Moreover, they had to choose her, otherwise, she would sue them for stealing her ideas. After the presentation, Yoon-oh received many compliments and promised to keep working hard. Looking at the job applicants there, Yoon-oh suddenly remembered her days of struggling to get a job at the hotel and meeting Sun-a. So, Yoon-oh didn't hesitate to encourage the applicants there, giving them the motivation to prove their worth. Back at the office, Kyung-jun was trying to convince Yi-won to participate in Yoon-oh's project. He also invited him to join their rooftop camping trip at Yoon-oh's place. This would help reduce stress and allow them to discuss work. After much deliberation, Yi-won accepted the invitation. That night, the rooftop camping trip took place. Everyone helped prepare the charcoal grill and a lot of food for the party. Yi-won arrived. Yoon-oh's group started the feast with a bottle of expensive wine from Kyung-jun. He talked about the wine, which he got at a bargain price during a fraudulent dating scam. While they were enjoying the wine, Yi-won called to join the party. The group greeted each other warmly. Only Yoon-oh didn't know where to look. Yi-won took the initiative to shake hands with Yoon-oh, letting go of their past. They looked at each other awkwardly, leaving Yoon-oh speechless. The group started their feast, but Kyung-jun wouldn't let Yi-won touch the alcohol because he was afraid he would relapse. They all raised their glasses to toast, but Yi-won had to drink water, which made him a little upset. Everyone started asking about the camera thief incident, and Yi-won couldn't contain himself and launched into a long explanation. They comforted him and then changed the subject, asking about the necklace Yoon-oh was wearing. They suspected that she had a new boyfriend, but Yoon-oh didn't want to talk about it and got up and went to the bathroom. She wondered how Yi-won knew her identity and her address. Taking advantage of the opportunity to discuss the proposal, Yi-won went inside to talk privately with Yoon-oh. He started the conversation hesitantly about the marketing proposal for his company, but Yoon-oh refused to work with him. However, this wasn't the main reason Yi-won wanted to see her. He wanted to confirm if this Yoon-oh was the same girl from the police station. Yoon-oh wanted to shoo Yi-won away, but he confessed his feelings. He wanted her to confirm what had happened, but Yoon-oh remained silent. Yi-won then talked about the Sun-a he had known before. She wasn't like this, but the Yoon-oh in the present had completely changed, which disappointed him. Everything felt like a lie. Yoon-oh stayed silent and cried to herself. Yi-won said goodbye to everyone and left. Kyung-jun and Rin-I left right after. Kyung-jun and Yoon-oh were left to clean up. After cleaning, Kyung-jun went back to the room, but Yoon-oh was gone. The bottle of expensive wine was empty. Meanwhile, Yoon-oh and Seon met on the street, both drunk. Seon said she had been kicked out by her father, and Yoon-oh was also carrying a suitcase and had run away from home. They talked for a while, and then they each went their separate ways. Yoon-oh got on the bus to leave. She thought about what Yi-won had said earlier about Sun-a's personality, the fake identity she had used. Yoon-oh remembered when she went to Seoul. When she went inside her boyfriend's house, she saw her boyfriend, Min-soo, with another girl. Yoon-oh couldn't believe her eyes. Her boyfriend then broke her heart, saying that he had stopped loving her a long time ago and kicked her out. Yoon-oh walked down the road, feeling sad and hurt. Even though her phone was ringing, she ignored it and threw it straight into a trash can. The next day, when she arrived at the company, she received the news that hiring had been suspended. Her marketing position had been stolen by Sun-a. The manager learned that Sun A's interview score was higher than Yoon-oh's and that Sun A had more positive energy, so she was chosen. She was very disappointed in herself, but when she called her mother, she tried to hide her emotions and lied, saying that work and love were going well, so that her mother, who was far away, wouldn't worry about her. Yoon-oh then got on a bus and headed toward the beach where Yi-won was, starting a new life there. Yoon-oh went to a restaurant on the beach. She said she wasn't a normal person and ordered a simple bowl of noodles. She ate the noodles in a hurry. Seeing how pitiful she was, the owners gave her 2 more bowls. Yoon-oh ate and cried. She hadn't had anything to eat for a week. She asked for a job at the restaurant, and the owners agreed and let her stay there. When they asked her name, Yoon-oh suddenly remembered Sun A, the friend who stole her job at the company. She was so impressed by Sun A's unique personality that she took the fake identity of Dun Sun A and began a new life. Back to reality, Yoon-oh woke up with a jolt and realized she was in bed. She opened the door and gasped when she saw Yi-won and the current Yoon-oh in his house. We hear a story about the drinking habits of Yoon-oh's group. When Jin-I gets drunk, she goes to sleep in the dog's kennel, behaving like a dog. When Kyung-jun gets drunk, he goes to sleep in the elevator, oblivious to the world. When Kang-jin gets drunk, he goes to a karaoke bar and sings without a care in the world. It just so happens that the karaoke bar was the same one frequented by Seon's schoolteachers, and that's how Yoon-oh's group got to know Seon's beautiful aunt. As for Yoon-oh, whenever she gets drunk, she takes the bus to the very last stop. In her drunken stupor, Yoon-oh sent Yi-won a string of mean text messages that made no sense to him. He called back the number, and the ticket collector answered, informing him that a girl was passed out on the bus. When he heard that her name was Yoon-oh, Yi-won immediately recognized her as someone he knew and drove to the bus depot to pick her up. That's why Yoon-oh woke up in Yi-won's house the next morning. Remembering what had happened the night before, Yoon-oh felt mortified and wished she had a hole to crawl into. She quietly tried to leave, but Yi-won found her. He answered a call for her, telling Kang-jin that she was in a meeting. Then, Yi-won invited Yoon-oh to stay for breakfast. He told her that he had taken her home from the last bus stop, carried her to bed, and nearly broke his back doing it. He started teasing her, which made her annoyed, but she couldn't fight back because she was at fault. He didn't forget to show her the text messages she had sent him while she was drunk. Yoon-oh wanted to return the cameras to Yi-won, but he didn't need them anymore. He blamed her for leaving without a word, forcing him to search everywhere for her, worrying that something dangerous might have happened to her. But Yoon-oh blamed Yi-won, saying that their relationship had been a fleeting fling during their trip and that they should forget about it now that they were back to normal life. Yi-won retorted, "How can you forget? We were married, and I was so sincere about it." Yoon-oh refused to acknowledge it. She admitted that she had lied and created a fake persona to deceive Yi-won. He was only in love with that fake persona, but the real Yoon-oh was the one who had been with him all along. She sincerely apologized to Yi-won and then left. The sky then opened up, as if mirroring their current sadness. Worried, Yi-won took an umbrella and went to find Yoon-oh. When he saw her huddled alone on the street, he gently approached her. Yi-won drove her back to his car because the bus stop was so far. It was raining heavily, and he didn't want to drive, so he reclined his seat and lay down. They sat in silence for a long time. Then, Yi-won turned on some music to lighten the heavy atmosphere. He asked her what her love style was, which made her speechless. Her favorite thing about him was his clumsiness. They then immersed themselves in the love songs under the heavy winter rain. Yi-won then drove Yoon-oh back home. They met Kang-jin and Rin-I, who had just arrived. They were surprised to see Yi-won with Yoon-oh. "Rin, I thought that Yoon-oh was going to work with Yi-won at his company, which would help her out of a bind." Rin-I quickly invited Yi-won to join them for noodles, and he readily agreed, despite Yoon-oh's protests. Yoon-oh made a bowl of noodles for everyone, but Yi-won's bowl was plain, which annoyed him. They started to bicker about the marketing proposal. Yoon-oh tried to explain to her friends to save face, while Yi-won argued back with a few unassailable points. When she learned that the landlord was going to increase the rent by 20%, Yoon-oh was furious. She started to rant and rave about the landlord, spitting noodles in Yi-won's face. He couldn't believe that the person in front of him was Sun A, the woman he had loved. She seemed more like a demon. He didn't forget to remind Yoon-oh that the marketing contract bid was coming up soon, so she needed to think carefully. Yi-won returned to his company. His brother, Kyung-jun, questioned his conservative design, but Yi-won explained that there were buildings that had existed for centuries. He asked for time to prove that this design would be successful, and that no one would regret it. That night, Yi-won went home to check the suitcase that Yoon-oh had brought with her, but it was completely empty. He looked at the ring he had planned to give Yoon-oh and remembered the matching ring she was wearing around her neck. He thought that Yoon-oh must have a new boyfriend, which made him fall into a brooding mood. The next day, Yoon-oh continued to work on the upcoming outdoor party project. Meanwhile, the company secretary came to inform Yi-won that their company had won the bid for the cultural complex outdoor party project. Kyung-jun was thrilled and immediately shared the news with Yoon-oh. That night, while working, Yi-won went online to search for Yoon-oh's name, but he couldn't find anything. When he searched for 03, he found it. The account had a picture of a book, the same book that Yi-won and Yoon-oh had loved reading when they were together. It turned out that Yoon-oh had been updating her social media account with their shared memories, feelings, and emotions from their relationship. She had never forgotten anything about Yi-won. Immediately, Yi-won drove to her house to find her. While Yoon-oh was getting something from her doorstep, she heard a crash. Yi-won had deliberately crashed his car into her car, breaking the mirror. He then pretended to call to apologize to create an excuse to see Yoon-oh. They met, and they started arguing again. The conversation revolved around their shared past memories, and Yi-won didn't hesitate to call Yoon-oh his ex-wife. He scolded her, saying that she had been so innocent in the past, and now she was so wild. Yoon-oh fought back, calling him a clingy leech. They argued like two children. Just as they were about to leave, Yoon-oh accidentally dropped Yi-won's engagement ring. Then she dropped her own ring. After picking up both rings, Yi-won confirmed that they were the engagement rings they had exchanged. Yoon-oh wanted to take them back, but Yi-won refused. At this point, Yi-won learned that Yoon-oh had lied about throwing the ring away. She hadn't thrown it away. She had never forgotten their love. Yoon-oh gave Yi-won all kinds of reasons to break up with her, but he refused. Yi-won tried to understand what Yoon-oh was thinking when she retrieved the ring he had thrown into the river. Without saying a word, Yoon-oh kissed him. As Yi-won tried to leave, he pulled her back, and they shared a passionate kiss. After the kiss, Yoon-oh wondered why she had done that. She was truly regretful. This made Yi-won a little annoyed, and he told her to think carefully before speaking. He reminded her that she had initiated a kiss with him before. She acknowledged that she must have been crazy to do that. Yi-won took out their engagement ring, adamantly stating that it was proof of their love. Yoon-oh admitted that she was heartbroken when she saw him throw the ring into the river. She had even waded into the water to retrieve it. She said, "I really regret doing that now." But her biggest concern was about the past. Yi-won said that he didn't care about that. It wasn't a big deal and didn't affect her feelings for him. Yoon-oh said that he might not care, but she was very concerned because it was the only secret she wanted to take to her grave. But it had been revealed, and now she felt humiliated. Hearing this, Yi-won erupted, saying, "Do you know how selfish you are?" Yoon-oh responded with her own reasoning, ending the conversation. When they arrived back at his place, Yi-won was still fuming and took his anger out on his pillow. He called Yoon-oh but was hung up on after 5 seconds. But he didn't give up, and he continued to call, not letting Yoon-oh get a moment's rest. Seeing how annoying he was being, Yoon-oh confessed her feelings, which made Yi-won quite sad. The next morning, as Yoon-oh was struggling to fix her car's mirror, Yi-won arrived and offered to fix it. Yoon-oh stayed home, looking back at what had happened, and then returned the things to Yi-won. He accepted them to relieve both of their minds. He also returned her suitcase from when they slept together. They wished each other happiness and parted ways. The scene then shifted to Kyung-jun and Rin-ai. Their relationship was going well. Meanwhile, Seon-young found Kang-jin's house and invited him out. After searching for a while, he found her giving a lesson in manners to 3 teenagers. They had dared to smoke and litter, and Seon-young, in her tough way, was teaching them how to behave, things that their parents couldn't seem to teach them. Kang-jin laughed at the scene and approached them, teasing the kids. Then, he hid behind his girlfriend because he was afraid of getting punched. They sat and had drinks together happily. They talked about their families. Seon-young said that whenever she drank, she thought about her mother. She inherited her hot temper from her. Kang-jin asked why she broke up with him, and she retorted, "Why didn't you fight for me, Kang-jin? I'm not the type who can keep what he wants." Seon-young thought he would fight for her and hoped that she would reconsider, but it didn't happen. If it were anyone else, she probably would have gotten over it. But it was him, so she got angry, upset, and very sad. They say that alcohol loosens the tongue, and it seemed that what she said was true. Seon-young also asked if the person he liked was Yoon-oh, and he confirmed that it wasn't. He didn't consider either Rin-ai or her as women. Even if he did consider them as women, in his eyes, she was the most beautiful. Those sweet words and that look made Seon-young happy. She burst out laughing, not quite sure what he was saying because he had never complimented her like that before. After he finished his speech, she said that she wouldn't come looking for Kang-jin anymore. She would overcome her longing for her mother by herself. She extended her hand, signifying the end of their relationship. They shook hands, feeling sad and lonely as they parted ways. Later, Kang-jin went to see Rin-ai to buy some things and told her he was going to light candles. However, they both received a message from Yoon-oh saying that she would be lighting candles. They were all very close friends, so when one person lit candles, it meant the other two had to listen to their troubles. She began her story, going back to a year before when she returned after suddenly disappearing. She was shocked to see Kang-jin in her house. When she asked why, he said that he was worried she might be cold, so he came to wash the blankets. He also took care of the electricity and water bills, so they wouldn't be cut off. Rin-ai had returned to Korea after hearing that her friend had disappeared and searched everywhere for her. They both worried a lot about her and left notes every time they visited, so she would let them know when she returned. That was the first thing she wanted to thank them for. She knew they had a lot of questions for her, but didn't dare to ask because of her state of mind. Yoon-oh was aware of this, but avoided them, pretending she didn't know, which hurt their kindness. Yoon-oh apologized sincerely to her two friends. Then, she revealed the truth. She was Sunhae and the one who stole Yi-won's cameras. After confessing, she started crying uncontrollably, saying that she was still the same foolish Yoon-oh from before and hadn't changed at all. Hearing this, her two friends comforted and encouraged her, saying it wasn't her fault. Yoon-oh didn't want Yi-won to know everything about her. They were both angry that they were close friends and hadn't shared anything with each other. Rin-ai said that Yoon-oh from before wasn't as stupid as he thought. Kang-jin agreed. Yoon-oh was very kind and warm-hearted. Whether in the past or present, they both still held the same view. They liked their friend very much. Yoon-oh, don't say that. Then, they all hugged and cried. That night, Yoon-oh packed her suitcase and discovered something inside. She opened it to see Yi-won's gift for her. The next morning, Yi-won and his brother, Kyung-jun, went to design a house for a client and received a box of tangerines as a gift. Kyung-jun mentioned that he had a date with Yoon-oh today, which made Yi-won very interested. He immediately left to make sure he wouldn't miss it. At the same time, Yoon-oh had also arrived at her company and was encouraging herself to do her best. Later, the three of them met to discuss an upcoming project, but Yi-won kept teasing her with irritating remarks. After they were finished, the four friends decided to try Rin-ai's new pizza. They thought about what would be a good name for this pizza. Kyung-jun didn't know what to say and blurted out something about how his brother was, making the other three unsure whether to explain everything to him. That night, Yoon-oh was also thinking about the necklace, while Yi-won revealed that he had purposely left it there to make her worried. Soon, as Yi-won had planned, Yoon-oh called him. He immediately hung up, making her angry. The next day, the long-awaited building launch took place. The only thing that bothered Yi-won was that Yoon-oh wasn't wearing the necklace. The launch was a success. Yi-won's father and other important people came to congratulate him. Kyung-jun introduced his girlfriend to his father, who was very happy. The only thing that made her unhappy was that her boyfriend had lied to his stepfather about her job. That night, after the event, the atmosphere between Rin-ai and Kyung-jun was still tense after his lie. The one who suffered the most was Kang-jin, who had to endure the icy aura emanating from those two. They didn't say a word to each other until they dropped Kang-jin off at home. Rin-ai wanted to know why her boyfriend had lied about her being about to go to graduate school. He said that whenever anyone asked him about his girlfriend, He didn't know what to say and felt embarrassed to tell them that she was only working a part-time job. This made Rin-I sad. Kyung-jun, I really don't want you to live like this. I want you to go to school or find a proper job. This caused a rift in their relationship because Rin-I thought Kyung-jun didn't understand her. It's okay if other people don't understand, but it's terrible when even those closest to you don't understand you. What's the point of making so much money? I like having more time and a minimalist lifestyle. As for Kyung-jun, he was very worried about her part-time job because every time she lost a job, she would have to scramble to find a new one and didn't know when she would be fired again. Hearing this, Rin-I burst into tears and said, maybe my life is too unstable, but this is how I live. This is my life, and I don't care what others think. The thing that hurts me the most right now is that you have thought of me like this all this time. If that's the case, why should we be together? So, Rin-I decided to break up with Kyung-jun because he had rejected her lifestyle. The scene shifted to the rooftop. Yi-won found Yoon-oh and she showed him the necklace. Yoon-oh, you still don't know who you are. You're not the son I know. If you knew all about you, you might regret it. Yi-won said, yes, you're right. You're not sure who you are, and you're very shy. I'm very clumsy and haven't figured myself out yet. If that's the case, would you still accept me? Yi-won had figured out the situation, so he smiled and said, the things you haven't been able to erase, please don't erase them. Let's learn about them together. First, let's go on a date. Let's learn about dating together. She agreed. Yi-won put the necklace back on her, then they shared a passionate kiss, just like they used to. They officially started dating. Holding hands, they prepared for a new and beautiful love story to come. A few days later, Yoon-oh had to go to the film set for work. She accidentally saw two senior actors doing something inappropriate with a young, innocent female actress who didn't know what a kiss was. Yoon-oh pretended to be familiar with the actress and teamed up with her to rescue her. But a little while later, Yoon-oh heard that the actress had disappeared from the set, which made the directors furious. Yoon-oh left, but she was stopped by Hee-na. Hee-na got in the car and asked Yoon-oh to drive her somewhere. Feeling sorry for her, Yoon-oh agreed and drove her away from the set. It was late evening when they finally reached Hee-na's destination, which was the home of her boyfriend, a handsome policeman. It seemed like she loved him a lot, because she was very worried when she saw his face beaten up. Meanwhile, Yoon-oh told her boyfriend about what happened today. The two of them shared a public display of affection, ignoring the nearby guests. They both then received messages from the newly separated couple. Rin-I invited Yoon-oh to watch a movie, and Kyung-jun invited Yi-won to go for drinks. They both declined, leaving the two of them to deal with their issues themselves. It was cruel, but that's how it went. Back to the young couple, it was the policeman's birthday today, but he didn't remember. Hee-na remembered and bought a cake. They ate it together and shared their feelings. Before saying goodbye, Hee-na asked him to give her his whole heart. They shared their first kiss in happiness. Now, Hee-na didn't have to worry about being kissed during her acting gigs because she had given her first kiss to the man she loved. And with that, the urban drama comes to an end. We would like to thank you for your interest and support. If you enjoyed this film, please don't hesitate to give us a like and subscribe so we can be motivated to create more great videos. Goodbye, and we'll see you in the next video.